Yep.
Mike, Talking Sports, another exciting episode of Guys Talking Sports. We have an amazing panel here. Let's hear it for the panel up here.
Thank you.
Thank you to the three of you here and everybody watching at home, in the cars, while you're driving. Appreciate it. So we got a really exciting show today. Obviously, it's the week before Super Bowl Sunday. But before we get into that, there's a couple of announcements that we have to make. First of all, we said this last time. We've got Willie Wilson, we've got Mike O'Hagan, we've got Stan Cisa. Okay, we're going to go down, we're going to do the introductions. But we have a public service announcement. Again, we did this last time. If any of you men out there were patients of Dr. Darius Padu, please call the DePietro Law Firm, because undoubtedly they have pictures of, your private parts. So we're going to go through the introductions. To my left is Tony-nominated Willie Wilson, an amazing teacher, an amazing musician. Willie Wilson in the house.
And I just made an appointment with the good doctor. Yeah, it sounded like fun. I don't know.
To his left, we've got...
That's so wrong, Willie.
We've got assistant coach of Hawthorne High School Bears football. Lehigh University Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, an amazing athlete. But also, what you guys might not know, is that he is a scholar in Shakespeare. So welcome, Mike O'Hagan.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
To his left is Mike O'Hagan's big brother from another mother, and an actor that we had the opportunity. Now, I'm going to tell you now, all of the four of us right here were in the upcoming movie First Rights, which is going to be released in April. It was an official selection at the Garden State Film Festival, and of course Ed Hayward on our the tech team was also in the movie. So make sure you check that out. But you got actor Stan Cisa, and at the end, because we had a lot of Giants and Jets fans here. What happened? So we got a lot of Giants and Jets fans on the panel, in the audience, on TV, and we still had to bring
Pull it down a little bit.
former NFL referee and now consultant to the Philadelphia Eagles, Ed Camp. All right, now you might as well, when he was a referee, this is the best, when we had him on the podcast, he said, if you are a Super Bowl referee, it doesn't matter who wins. You all get a ring.
Right.
All right, lift to show it.
Right.
There it is.
Yeah.
Look at that. And now, he not only has that ring, he's got the Philadelphia Eagles championship ring coming. And, God forbid, if the Eagles win next week.
Well, one of us is rooting for that now.
Yep.
Ed Kemp, thank you so much for coming.
Okay.
All right.
So, there's a couple of special thanks that we want to give. We want to give special thanks to Shortway's Barn for housing us and giving us the opportunity to bring this to you guys. And everybody that's out there that can hear me, thank you to Shortways. And we've got some great raffles. I want to talk about the raffles. Now, you that are watching, you can't participate in the raffles. Shame on you. Make sure you come next time. But we've got some great raffles. We've got tickets to the New Jersey Jackals. The New Jersey Jackals, opening day. They gave us 4 tickets. We're gonna give 2 sets of 2 to opening day on May 9th at Hinchliffe Stadium. And by the way, for you Mets fans, how many Mets fans here? All right, we got a couple of Mets fans. For you Mets fans, the New Jersey Jackals had a pitcher last year that was an all-star. He was an all-star in the Frontier League, and his name is Yuhi Sacco, who was just picked up by the New York Mets, and he's in the farm system this year. He's going to playing in the minor leagues. Yeah, out of the New Jersey Jackals. So make sure you check them out this year. We're gonna have some live feeds from Hinchliffe Stadium, and then another really cool thing. We have an episode coming out tomorrow with Jared Firmo. Jared Firmo is the president of the Jersey Shore Wave. The Jersey Shore Wave is the first women's National Football Conference team in New Jersey. So the WNFC has been around for 6 years, and Jersey just picked up their first team called the Jersey Shore Wave. So a lot of congratulations to them.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
They're going to be playing. We're going to be giving away 2 tickets to their home opener,
I could
and a
probably make
special
that team.
shout out
Maybe.
to. They're playing at Hinchliffe. They're going to play at
pretty cool.
Hinchliffe Stadium, and a special shout out to Monet Clancy. Monet, if you're watching, I know we were just texting. If you're watching, congratulations. Monet Clancy is a Paterson, New Jersey policewoman who is on the team. She's a running back for the Jersey Shore Wave, so we are going to be cheering you on. The first game is in Chicago in the end of March 29th, and their home opener at Hinchliffe Stadium is April 5th. So we're going to be giving 2 tickets away to that game, and then we're going to also do a live stream there as well.
That's
which
cool.
is, and listen, this is not, when I interviewed the guy, you remember a couple years ago they had women's football and they were wearing short shorts and no. This is full contact,
Yeah, lingerie.
helmet to knee pad. They wear more pads than the men. They actually have knee pads, which for some reason the men don't wear anymore.
Smart on their behalf.
Yeah, I don't get why the less and less pads.
Margaret?
But it's full contact. It's intense. You'll see some of the clips. Make sure you tune in tomorrow on the episode. We also have, by the way, since 4 of us were in the movie First Rights, we're also raffling off an autographed poster, movie poster of First Rights, which is an official selection of the Garden State Film Festival, and it's gonna be premiered at the Cranford Theater in Cranford, New Jersey on March 29th, which is why I can't watch the Jersey Shore Wave
We got to
in
get Margaret
Chicago.
to sign it. We have another movie person here. We gotta
Who's
get
here?
Margaret.
Oh yeah, we got more. This is going to be autographed by everyone, almost everyone you see in the film. So make sure you check that out. It's going to be available on streaming in early April. So we'll send that out. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our website, all that stuff. The Supper Bowl, again, last announcement, the Supper Bowl, which is going on right now. Get your votes in tonight. Go to www.thetowncast.com. Get your votes in, because tonight we decide who's making it to the Supper Bowl finals. It's Blackjack Mulligans, it's Justin's, it's Patsy's, and it's Puzo's. So you got some heavy hitters there. So make sure you go in and you
Can't go wrong either one of those places.
and you put your votes in. So we're a week away from Super Bowl 59. And it's the Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City Chiefs. Before we get into football, we have to touch a little bit on baseball, because the last time that we met, last time we had our panel here, was the All-Star break. And, you know, we had some predictions. And you know, there were some Debbie Downers, and there were some people that felt a little more confident. And we all thought that the Yankees and the Mets were going to make it to the playoffs. So congratulations to everybody on this panel that thought that, because you've got Yankee fans, you've got Met fans, and you've got Cincinnati Red fans.
Don't ask.
I don't get it. I don't get
I
it.
do remember that.
So we want to touch a little bit, because at the end of the season, obviously, you know, the Yankees were all excited. You got Judge, you got Soto. I mean, what more do you need? And then all of a sudden, Soto disappears, and he ends up in Queens versus the Bronx. So as a Met fan, how did you, I mean, I cried that day.
I'm ecstatic. Unfortunately, I think Alonso's going to your team. You know that?
That would be lovely.
To the Reds?
Yeah, that's just talk right now.
What?
That would be lovely.
You heard that, right?
I have.
Yeah. That's like new talk.
I
so
spoke to
don't like
the
that.
owner yesterday. That's what's going to happen. Apparently.
Why would he not come to the Yankees?
They
We don't have a first baseman.
Yeah, you do.
Well, Ben Rice.
Goldschmidt.
No, you got who do
Who?
you got? Christian
Goldschmidt.
Walker? Yeah, Goldschmidt.
Oh, yeah, all right, you could have him.
We
I
need
didn't hear
him.
that.
We
He's going.
need
He's,
him.
he's
Don't worry.
possibly
We
going to
need
the
him.
Reds.
That's the only other team now besides the Mets that are in it. And
I don't understand. To me, Pete Alonso is like your David Wright. He's going to be a lifelong. He should die as a Met.
I agree.
I don't get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? He turned down 7 years. Like, so if I offered you $158 million to do the Towncast for 7 years, what's your answer?
I'm gonna have to consult my
Scott
my
Boras?
agent. I'm gonna have to consult Scott Boras. I don't get it.
I
Is it a
think-
money grab? Is he just?
I think he's got some bad advice from Scott Boras.
I
really do.
agree.
Well,
Because-
he turned that down with his old agent.
Is that his agent, Scott? Boras?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. But now,
Yeah, look, that's the face right there. Every time.
No, but he does his job.
He-
He charges you.
he
Yeah,
does.
but he didn't do his job.
But you know what? Some of it's
Not
got.
this time. And not with
He
a
also
couple guys
missed out
last
on
year, too.
with Conforto, too. They played that wrong. When Michael Conforto
Yep.
had him as an agent, and he left the Mets. I thought Michael Conforto got some bad advice as well. But talking about today, Pete Alonso, he's going to be the #1 home run hitter in Mets history. He could hit 500 home runs.
If he stays a Met.
No matter where he goes, but he could do it as a Met, which would be fantastic. He's a homegrown player, but here again, it just seems like the Mets and the Giants, the Mets can't keep their homegrown stars. They all wind up leaving somehow.
You
That's
think
very
is that
disappointing.
ownership?
It was previous
It was,
ownership.
yeah.
It's not this ownership.
It's not anymore.
He has turned the culture around.
Yeah, but I think Boris put himself in a hole. So he made the move for Soto. Right? He had Soto, and then he's going to say, listen, I'm going to take care of you. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Don't worry about it. Listen, I'm going to deal with the Mets. Me and that guy, we're dialed in. So I'm going to give Soto as much as I can, but don't worry, Pete. I'm going to get the same thing from him. And then the owner of the Mets said, well, I went after the big fish. I got the big fish. I'm out. I'm going to let my guys now go after the next fish, and I'm going to stay out of it because the owner's like, all right, I need somebody else to actually run the day-to-day. I got my own $8 billion hedge fund to run. I just got Soto for $1 billion, basically. So guess what? You go do your job. You go do your job, and I think that the agent on the side said, Pete, don't worry, Pete, I'll take care of you. And the Mets are like, hey, how much more blood do you want from this stone? How much more are you going to get? So guess what, Pete? Here's what we're going to give you. We're going to give you $35 million a year for $30 million a year for 3 years, and then we'll go from there. And he's like, well, and then the agent's like, well, I thought we'd get more. Well, I thought I'd grow my hair back today too.
Pete is telling Boris, look, do what you have to do. Keep me as a Met. I think that Cohen is now has stepped back into, and I agree with you, Mike. He did that with Soto. Cohen was very involved, and then he kind of stepped back a little and let Stearns handle it. But I think now Cohen is back involved in the negotiations, and that's a new one on the Reds. I thought Toronto, I thought Anaheim.
I heard Toronto. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm a little worried about the Reds, and Pete can hit 600 home runs in that park. But I'm hoping it stays a Met. I really am.
What's your thought, Ed?
My thought is 45, 50 years ago, I had a pretty good curveball, and I'm hearing these numbers. I wish I had that curveball back. now,
Yeah,
because
sure.
The money that's out there.
It's
But
insane.
You know what I haven't heard in a long time? Whether it's the off season, when we're talking about what teams are going to do, I don't hear hometown discount anymore. I hear a bottom line, and I'm taking it, and if I got to move my family or I have to relocate, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And you're asking about, of course, as a Met fan, I would want Alonso back. But I understand the landscape nowadays is all economics. Whether you're the owner, whether you're the second stage guys, the general managers, or whether you're the players. They're going with the cash. That's the way it's been. It's been that way a long time. My dad, I'm almost 70 years old. My dad said, it's a business. And I didn't understand what that meant. He told me that when I was 12 years old. It's a business.
Yeah.
So I got away from loyalty and all that stuff. I'm bleeding Dodger blue or Cincinnati red. I think it's happening.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I look at I get more emotion. Obviously I'm a fan. I'm not a professional sports athlete, but I look at it like, even with Soto, and when Judge was going through the whole thing, like, you have an opportunity of getting a plaque in Monument Park. Soto, if he continued playing the way he played, this past year, he'd have a plaque in Monument Park.
Yeah, but he's gonna have
you're
something in the rafters over at Citi Field.
Shut up! I hate you.
Yeah, but,
But
here's my question. I just keep remembering that not one Yankee called up Soto and asked him to stay. At least that's what I heard.
I heard that too.
Now, what kind of guy in the clubhouse is Soto? I don't know. Is he a great teammate? I don't know. And we're going to find out as with the Mets.
listen,
No,
Juan Soto,
if Judge didn't recruit him at all or try to say to him,
That's true.
hey, come on, sign here.
hey Juan, if you're watching this, just give us a call. Let us know what your thoughts were. Yeah, I mean, when you're young, I get it. It's exciting. It's the money. Grab as much as you can. The fundamental problem I have with team sports, professional team sports, is that you get paid. You don't. We're all. We've at some point we're involved in business, right? And we get paid for what we do. You do a good job, you get a raise, right? These athletes. They get paid for what they might do. So Soto gets $700 million on what might happen in the next 7 to 10 years.
15.
Yeah.
And after year 5, I'm pretty sure they're paying that money for a designated hitter because he's not a good outfielder, not a good right fielder defensively, and I don't know how long he's going to play out there.
But if they get a World Series, doesn't matter. If he's a
True.
free agent in 5 years and they get one World Series,
Very true.
big deal.
Yep, if he gets it.
It's funny you talk about like professional athletes and stuff. I've coached against kids that have gone to the pros. I know guys that have played in the league, and I've come to a point in my life. I don't care how much money they make anymore. I don't care what Soto makes. I don't care what Judge makes. I don't care what the NHL guy makes. I just want to watch the sport. Because if I get into, all right, Ed's making this and Stan's making that, and they're on the same team.
He's making more than me.
Yeah, well, exactly. and Stan had a bad day, and Ed didn't. And you know what? Let it play out. Let it play out. Because if you get into trying to figure out that a guy he gets 35 starts in a year, and he's getting paid $150,000 a pitch. If you start going down that, or 90, whatever the numbers break out for these guys, right? If you start worrying about, well, he had 400 at-bats and he got paid $400 million, or 300, or 30 million. You start getting into that part of it, you don't want to watch the sport anymore. I always loved the sport. I love the part of, I'm going against him. Is he better than me? I'm better than him. I got to put the time in. I got to put the effort in. Whatever they get paid, I've got away from that. I don't care anymore because I get absolutely, my head will explode if I start thinking about it.
So let me ask you a question now. Do you think that players should be paid bonuses and incentives on how they perform, or just paid, you're going to get $150 million this year, doesn't matter what you do?
Yeah, well, that's the Scott Boras effect. That's the agent's effect. That's the market effect, okay? You and I do something for a living that is unique to what we think is unique to what we do. But you know what? They can replace me tomorrow. You can't replace.
No, they can't.
Well, not you, me, absolutely. but you can't replace Soto, right? He has a skill set that's unique, right? You got, God rest his soul, you got Kobe Bryant. Those guys are they make the best guys in the world look like crap, right? And that's like unbelievable to have that skill set. So should they get paid on what they do? Hey, look, Ted Williams, not Ted Williams, who was it for the Yankees? Mickey Mantle had a bad year. They wanted to cut his salary.
Right.
Right? He made like $50,000. They said,
if you want to stay a Yankee, we're going to pay you less.
We're going to pay you $40 this year because you had a bad year. It's Mickey Mantle.
I remember Tom Seaver did get cut one year.
Yeah.
If you look
That's
at
how he
Tom,
ended up with the Reds.
if you look at Tom Seaver's career, he never had a bad year, really. Maybe I think one year he might have pitched 500. But M. Donald Grant, who ran the Mets at the time, they cut his salary. And Seaver said he deserved to get cut.
Right.
I was just reading this.
You know what though? Nowadays, since that's happened, that's gone by the board.
Oh,
So these
totally,
guys get.
totally.
It's a combination of what you said, Fabio. It's a combination of what they've done up to this point. Now, what's Soto? 26.
Yeah.
So he's getting paid they're betting on the come.
Yeah.
They're hoping,
Yeah.
they're hoping
What
he's
might
going to
happen.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's probably got enough incentives in there that he's going to play. We're going to see him in September if the Yankees are down.
Yeah.
Because he's got to have a certain amount of at-bats or a certain amount of whatever
Right.
built in. But
So that is all built into those
It is built in.
contracts.
It's both ways now.
Yeah. Which I think it should be.
Well, yeah, it should be.
Hey,
but
you
it's,
make the All-Star game, you get this. You make the playoffs,
yeah,
you
but
get
it's
that. Make
skewed the
World-
other way. The guarantee is skewed way in their favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incentive would be amazing. Like if you get a Gold Glove, you'll see guys crashing into walls.
Yes.
Because they're going to get $1 million if you get a
Right.
Gold Glove. You're going to see a little bit. Listen, money drives incentive.
Right.
It drives you. You know, it's no doubt about it.
But to that point, then there's the flip side. You see guys that get benched or don't get their at bats at the end of the year, so they don't get the incentive. So the owners,
I know,
the owners play the other way, and that's
the
not
point.
cool either.
That's
They
not
also
cool.
say, well,
That's not cool.
why is this guy on the IL? Well, if he gets 3 more home runs, he gets
million
another $1 million.
Well,
bucks.
didn't that-
Well, he's not going to play.
Didn't that happen in football this year with Dallas?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Well, you
listen,
know what, Willie, I don't remember who
I
it was.
remember hearing that.
Yeah.
They sat him.
Right, they sat him.
Yeah.
And then Jerry Jones said, if I had known, well, what do you mean if you had known?
Yeah.
No, of course
You're
you
the
signed
owner.
the contract, you're the owner. But Willie, I agree with what you said. If, for the $700 million, if Juan Soto gets a championship in year 1 or 2, nobody's going to care about the $700 million. Nobody. You're talking about a team that has won 2 World Series.
Money's well spent.
Yeah, he could be selling hot dogs in 10
I mean,
years.
this is what Met fans wanted. They couldn't stand the Wilpon ownership because we were out on everybody. Now it seems like the Mets are in on everybody.
Yeah.
So I'll take this guy right now.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so since we're on the subject of baseball, there's a couple of great stories that I just learned about today that I want you guys to share. So I'm a Yankee fan. Growing up as a Yankee fan, I'll tell you a quick story. So my dad was a tailor. For those of you that don't know, I don't know if I shared this last time. My dad was a tailor, obviously struggled his whole life, moved to America. We moved to America, and, he struggled and worked his way, and he was a tailor, and he ends up somehow becoming tailor to a bunch of Yankees. So, he had Dick Hauser, Ed Figueroa, and he had Joe DiMaggio.
wow.
So growing up, I grew up as a natural Yankee fan, and my favorite player was Thurman Munson. I still have, I'll remember, at a carnival that I went to in Fairlawn, I got I still have it, a little mirror, it's about this big, with Thurman Munson's face on it. I'll bring it next time. It makes me emotional. But he was my favorite player, and the day that he crashed was devastating for any Yankee fan. But I just learned this story today that I want Mike to share. So, we all grew up playing at Wagwell Field, playing Little League, playing Midget League. I don't know if you can call it Midget League, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Little people league.
And then
It's Little People League.
Little People League, and some of us were umpiring, so on. So, Mike, share the story of that particular day.
So we umpired a lot back in the day to make money, and we just loved baseball.
Was Mr. Hancock your?
Tom Krieger,
Tom Krieger, okay.
God rest his soul, great guy. Tom Krieger was in charge of the umpires. So we did a lot of games. It's a tournament. They had the state girls, the North Jersey State tournament for girls softball in Hawthorne. So I'm pulling in at 10 to 6 for the game, and the channel 77 WABC News comes on at 5 to 6. Flashing news, flashing news, flashing news. Thurman Munson died in a plane crash in Ohio. So I'm sitting in the car, waiting for the details of, is he passed away, what's going on? And I'm right behind Flag 2, everybody knows it. And Glenn, Stan's brother, had the home plate, so he's in charge of ground rules. And he's literally from here to my sister away. I'm 20 feet away. And he's like this. Let's go. Right. So they say Thurman Munson, it's official, Thurman Munson has passed away in a plane crash. I get out of the car and we're devastated. Glenn was my catcher, I was a pitcher, Thurman Munson was Thurman Munson. So we're playing Guttenberg, right? Guttenberg was the
I don't
team.
even know where that is.
I know, right?
Guttenberg.
Right? So I walk in, I'm sorry I'm late. I call Glenn's brother Ches, right? I go, Ches, Thurman Munson just got killed in a plane crash. And he's like, that's not even funny. You know, he's like getting mad. You're like, what the hell are you talking about? I go, I just heard it on the radio. He's like, do we do ground rule? He's like, you got to be bleak. I'm like, I swear to God, right? So I go walking down. I have first base. I got the first base. I'm walking down to first base. And if you remember old Wag, the fence went like 15 feet past first base.
Yeah.
So I'm out there, you know, checking out. All of a sudden, this young guy, a couple of years, maybe my age, a little bit older, comes around the fence and he grabs me from the back, spins me around. Tall guy, 6'5", 6'6", however big he was, 6'5". And he throws me up against the fence. And I'm like...
And you're not a small guy.
Oh, no. And I was playing football in college. I was ready to go. I go, what are you doing? And he's like, what did you say? I said, what? He goes, Thurman Munson. I go, yeah, Thurman Munson just passed away. He got killed in a plane crash. He was with the Yankees in Ohio. He went home. He died. This guy looks at me. He's got me like this. I'll never forget his face. He went the color of your shirt. And I'm looking up like this. I'm 6'2", 6'3". He's got me like this. I go, he pushed me up against the fence, goes around, and he takes off. No cell phones. There was an old payphone at the gate, and you came in at WAG.
Yeah.
At the front
It was
gate.
one of those phone.
Phone.
Yeah.
You know, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
This guy takes off and starts running, and he is like a deer. He got there in 10 seconds, and it's 150 yards. His stride, he's running. So I said to the coach, I'm like, what's up? He goes, that guy just got called up from the Yankees. He's a pitcher for the Yankees. His name is Dave Rigetti.
Wow.
Yeah. I go, what? He goes, yeah, he's a rookie. Dave Rigetti's a really good pitcher, and he's part of the Yankees organization, and he knows Munson very well. I'm like, holy crap. So
He would have been his catcher.
no doubt.
Yeah.
So I've never met Rigetti. I've never reached out to him but I'll never forget that day as a Yankee fan. I'm a Yankee fan because my family's are crazy Yankee fans. I grew up in the Bronx, but I'll never forget getting spun around and thrown up against the fence and looking up at this young man like I was, and the look on his face was like, holy SH, you know what? And he ran so fast, and then he came back, got in his car, and I was just like, I feel terrible for this young guy. Like terrible for all of us as Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, he must have been, what, 22?
He was young,
Yeah.
because we were just in college, so he was a couple years old. He was probably 20, 22,
Yeah,
23. Yeah. Well, he spun me around like a top. I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Chances are he probably did pitch to Thurman at some point in spring training,
yeah.
something.
Yeah,
you know?
obviously.
So
Yeah.
there was probably some sort. Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
It was a crazy.
Good story. Not a really good
No.
story, but interesting story.
But one of those crazy, like, holy crap moments. Like, yeah, I'll never forget it.
Wow.
But a slightly more upbeat story
Thank you.
is when so you Yankee fans will remember. You remember when Chris Chambliss hit the home run? I mean, you see it now. The crowds rushing on the field. That game changed the rules. It changed the rules, put the cops out, ruined it for all of us. But when Chris Chambliss hit that home run, everybody charged on the field, and he's just barreling through people, right, knocking people down, stampeding people to try to get to home plate. Because if he doesn't touch home plate,
Right.
it's not a home run, right? One of the guys here was there. So we're going to have Stan share that story. I just found out today.
Well, that's very true. And in those days, it's 1976. It's the first year of the first new Yankee Stadium. And the Yankees win the division. And the Royals won the division. Now, I had no dog in the fight. In fact, I was rooting for the Royals because...
Oh, great. That's great.
I am not...
Cut his mic.
I am not a Yankee fan. I am not a Yankee fan. And I wouldn't say a Yankee hater. Maybe in those days, yeah, but I've mellowed since. But anyway, I'm there with my brother, who is a huge Yankee fan. My brother Wayne, one of the biggest Yankee fans that I've ever met. And in those days, they played, the first two games were in Kansas City, and the next three were at Yankee Stadium. So we get tickets, me, Wayne, and some other friends, for, you know, the three home games. So we go to the game, and our seats are in the upper left field, upper deck in left field, right by the, kind of by the foul pole. So we're up there. Now, before we go to the game, my father says to me, listen, he goes, whatever happens tonight, make sure you keep an eye on your younger brother. You know, don't let anything
How
happen
old was
to him."
he?
Wayne was 2 years younger than me, so I'm 21, he's 19.
All right.
All right, now remember, I am not a Yankee fan. So, the Yankees are winning, they're ahead by 3 runs, it's the top of the 8th inning, and we're sitting there, and Wayne says, come on, let's go. I said, where are we going? He goes, we're gonna jump over the left field wall, and we're gonna run on the field. It's a 3-run lead, we got the game cinched. So we go from the upper deck all the way down. We get down there, and my man is up, George Brett. My favorite non-Met player is George Brett, and George Brett killed the Yankees. George Brett gets up, I think they put in Grant Jackson, and George Brett hits one in the upper deck, a 3-run homer to tie the game in the 8th. So now my brother's upset, we go trudging back up to our seat. Now we get there, bottom of the 8th, Yankees don't score. Top of the 9th, Royals almost scored, they don't score. Bottom of the 9th, my brother gets up, and we were kind of sitting right on the aisle. He walks down a few steps, goes to the tunnel. I said, where are you going? He goes, I'm going down, I'm going to run on the field. With that, he disappears. I don't see him. I said, you know, I guess I got to get up and go back down and try and find him. Well, the first pitch of the inning, Chambliss is up. Chambliss hits one, home run, Yankees win the pennant. Now I go, oh, I got to find my brother. Now I go running down, and I'm standing on top of the left field wall, and there's thousands of people on the field, thousands of Yankee fans. So I said, I got to go over. So I climb over, jump
So
off
you jumped over the
jumped down
left field?
Well, let's put it this way. I held on and let go and dropped to the field. And now I got to find him. And I just about guarantee that I am the only non-Yankee fan on the field that night among thousands. So
You're a Mets fan, a
I'm
Yankee
Mets
hater.
fan, a Yankee hater, and here I am. Somehow I wind up on the field that night, and I found him. Unbelievably, I found him. He was in between the pitcher's mound and third base, on his knees, a bunch of people around him, and they're all digging up the turf,
Just ripping up the grass?
ripping up the grass.
Like a rabid dog.
He puts it in his pocket, puts the tufts of grass in there. He gets home and he plants the grass. Well, don't you know that he borrowed my father's jacket that night?
Oh boy.
So the first time my father goes to put the jacket,
Oh, that's it.
he puts his hands in there and he comes up with clumps of dirt. He says, what the heck happened here? You know, and then, so that was my story. I was at the Chambliss game, the only non-Yankee fan
On the field.
that night.
Well, I tell you, my favorite George Brett story was the game that he hit the home run, and then Billy Martin came in.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, "Oh, excuse
Pine
me,
tar game.
official, the pine tar was a little too high," and they reversed the call.
Yeah.
The look, and I watch it every at least a few times a year. I'll pull that up. I'll send it to my brother. Like, remember this?
Oh, he looked like a murderer.
Maniacal.
I have never seen anyone want to kill somebody the way his face was.
Right. George Brett is, to me, he was the last guy that I can remember where I had to get up in the morning and buy the Daily News and look at the box score to see what he did. In 1980, when
Amazing
he made
player.
that run at 400,
Yeah.
and he ended up at 390, he was over 400 in September.
Amazing player.
And I just saw a documentary about him, and he said, I stopped hitting 400 when I tried to hit 400.
Right.
And that's when he could never get it back. Because you go 1 for 4, and your average, if you're batting 400, you go 1 for 4, your average goes down.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was and now everybody's got the information right in the palm of their hands on their.
And I'm
phone,
sure,
but
I'm sure if you would ask him today, the worst play ever would be that play. I mean, he was just. I thought he was going to kill somebody.
Yeah, he looked dangerous.
And the camera guys were just
dangerous.
great. They had. Listen, if you guys have never seen it, right after the show, you're on YouTube. Go and YouTube the George Brett reverse home run.
Pine tar.
Pine tar incident.
The pine tar, yeah, the pine tar. That was.
and then do the Chambliss home run because He literally is knocking people over.
Now, you had hair at that time, so make sure you look for Stan and his brother Wayne. They both had hair. Do you remember that play? Do you remember that?
Well, I have a good story about that. So I was playing in the Net League over here, semi-pro, and one of our umpires, Lou Russo from Wayne, Lou went to umpire school, and he never made it. But he became friends with guys that he went to umpire school with, and one of them was
He failed out of umpire school?
Yeah, he got a regular job, and that's kind of a nomadic lifestyle. So he just decided, no, I'm not. I'm going to be an electrician, and that's it. You know.
I want to have my own apartment. I don't want to sleep on my mom's couch.
But when his classmates would come into the city, Mets or Yankees, he'd go see them. So he talks to Tim McClellan, a friend of his, and Tim McClellan is working the Yankee series with the Kansas City Royals, and he calls him up and says, "I'm staying at the Waldorf. Come in and we'll have dinner." He says, "I got to go light because I'm working the plate tomorrow." Okay. Well, they don't go light, and he's still working the plate tomorrow, so it's out pretty good. So he says to me, yeah, he's got a pretty good headache going from the last night, and that was a day game, and he's working the plate in that game. And sure enough, the manager comes out and says, it's too far. Billy Martin came out and said, measure it. They measured it against home plate being 17 inches. And, there's McClellan banging him out. And he said, George Brett came out and yelled at me. I said, wow, what was he saying? He goes, I couldn't tell you. I had such a headache from the night before. With that.
He was the umpire on that game?
Yes.
Oh my God!
So when you see that on YouTube, the Pine Tar,
he's the guy.
He's got a thumper going. Yeah.
Pretty big.
We gotta have him on the
McClellan's
next.
a big guy.
We gotta have him on the next
He
show.
looked right in the dugout and went,
Yep.
oh, that's great.
We gotta have him
Can I
on.
share one more about running on the field? A friend of mine went to college in Boston, and his idol was Mickey Mantle. And at the end of Mick's career, we saw it. He just had no legs. He was running on nothing, on empty. So my friend was, again, staying out too late at night and says, hey, the Yanks are playing the Red Sox. And you would tell me no better than I. The Yankees were horrible at the end of Mickey's career. So he says to his buddies, we're going to Fenway because it's got to be the last time Nick's going to be playing. We got to go. So they're out all night partying, and they go to Fenway for one of those Wednesday afternoon games in September that nobody's at, either in Fenway or Yankee Stadium.
Right.
So they're still imbibing a little bit. In the sixth inning, my buddy says, I'm going out over the wall, and I'm going to meet my idol.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
No.
boy. Bad
And
idea.
his friends are going, well, of course, typical college kids. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
go over the wall.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We're right behind you.
So sure enough, change of the inning. The Yankees are running out on defense. He jumps over the wall, and he's running. He's got a clear shot at center field. And he's running out, or right field, whatever Mick was playing at the end. He's running out, and he goes, I look, he goes, oh my God. It's Hector Lopez. There's not a lot of, you guys know who this is. Mick said, after the fifth, the sixth inning, Mick said, I'm not playing.
took him out.
So whoever the manager was, Ralph Halk or whatever, says, Hector, you go play center. So my buddy goes out and runs out there and he goes, and the Boston Cops are only too happy to beat him.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Over Hector Lopez.
Over Hector Lopez. That's funny. There's no such thing as a field incursion. Don't do that.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome. All right, so enough about baseball. Obviously, the Super Bowl's coming up next week. Let's talk a little bit about Giants-Jets this past season. I mean, and really, we can only talk a little bit about the Giants-Jets this
In
past
fact,
season.
we're done.
Yeah. So that's it. So thank you, everybody. Good night. Let's start with the Jets because I know that there was Jets fans. Come on, you can admit it. You can admit it. All right.
I'm a Jet season ticket holder. I'm not a Jet
You're
fan.
a Jet fan
I'll root
adjacent.
for the Jets, but I'm a Giant fan. But I will root for the Jets unless they're playing the Giants.
And I will too. I mean, they're different conferences.
Yeah,
You're a New York fan. You root for the New York teams.
Buffalo.
I know the excitement. And I remember last time we met, right around mid-season, the baseball season, everybody was excited. Everybody was picturing the Jets well over 500.
Oh, yeah.
No one predicted them under 500. Aaron Rodgers, if he stays healthy, he stayed healthy.
He stayed healthy.
And his stats
That was the
weren't
only
bad.
thing. He just stayed healthy. What happened to the
His
Jets?
stats weren't bad, you're right, but he was not the same.
No,
quarterback.
they weren't. But if you looked at those stats and said he played, 16 games, you'd be like, oh yeah, because I think I picked 10 or 11 when you asked how many
Yeah.
we'd win. I would be like, yeah, they definitely won 10 or 11.
Right. Well, you know, the year before, when Rodgers got hurt on the, what was it, third or fourth play?
Fourth.
I think the Jets won 7 games that year without him.
Without him.
And when you figure in the offseason, well, we got a healthy Aaron Rodgers now. Well, he could win 3 more games just by showing up, throwing his helmet on the field. I figured for sure the Jets are going to win 10 or 11 games. So I was kind of surprised what, you know, what happened.
I mean, did it come down to coaching? Was it coaching? Was it
Mike
play
might be
calling?
able
What?
The defense stinks.
Well,
The defense was supposed to be
on
the
paper, it's a good defense. I think
It's
it's
a good
coaching.
defense on paper.
Yeah, I think it's coaching. Also, firing and you probably know this as well. Anybody firing a coach in the middle of the year without a good backup plan was
Yeah,
not.
I don't know if there is a backup plan when you fire the coach.
that's
You don't
true,
plan
yeah.
on that. You plan on him going
Not
the whole
game-
season
yeah,
and
not
then
game
evaluating
7,
that.
Did you think that was a bad move?
I don't know. I don't know what was going on. We don't really know what goes on in the locker room. Salah's got a great reputation.
Yeah.
We saw what happened. As soon as he got released here, he went to Green Bay and served out in a defensive role, consultant role.
Yeah.
And then he just got hired. I think the
The
49ers
Niners,
brought him
yeah.
back.
Yeah,
So,
49ers.
Yeah. I know one thing. As a sports fan, as we all are, after the Yankees, or after the World Series was over, there was no talk about local sports, and that's kind of a big void around here. No one was talking Jets or Giants except doom and gloom, and that's hard.
Yeah.
We can't have that. The league can't have that. You know, we can't have that. Our fans can't.
Yeah.
Fans can't have that.
It was murder.
It was over. It was nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
You know.
I know, we were clinging on to that Yankee and Mets season, like,
Getting back-
please go until January.
I didn't mean to be so glib about the defense, but you know, when you have a elite defense that the Jets were supposed to have, and they didn't play anywhere near what they had, then Saleh is a defensive guy. You get rid of Saleh, you get the defensive coach becomes the head coach. So now you have a void on the defensive side of the ball of the 2 coaches that are responsible for defense are not on a day-to-day anymore, and then your offense is, you know, pedestrian at best, you know, unfortunately. And I think that they have, yeah, look, we talked about it. Ed and I have been friends for a long, long time talking about sports. It's the 5 guys up front that are controlling how good you're going to be.
Yeah.
You look at the Eagles, right? You look at the Eagles, right? Those 5 guys up front, center, 2 guards, 2 tackles, they dictate the whole game. Every team that's any team that's any good does not have a bad player. You have some great ones, but does not have a bad player. The Giants and the Jets up front, from center to tackle, A gap, B gap, C gap, are pedestrian. And I don't care if you have Walter Payton and Jim Brown back there. If you can't create a hole, if you can't get a push to the
Yeah.
second level,
Well,
I don't care how good you are.
they had
deep-
Barkley. The Giants had Barkley.
I think we want to back up, though, and piggyback on what Mike just said. As far as the Eagles are concerned, they had like 8 offensive linemen that are interchangeable parts.
Right.
I mean, they've lost the center this year. I mean, first of all, they lost Kelts last year. And they got Cam
Big
Jurgens
loss.
now, okay? And then Cam was banged up. I went to practice 2 weeks ago. There was a guy snapping the ball, and he looked pretty darn good. You know, it's interchangeable parts. Now, Saquon Barkley is great and has had a great year and has, you know, picked up his whole pace.
But you guys had a great line. You guys had a great line.
And the defensive line is excellent.
What's
too.
up
The
on both
defense
sides
is-
of the ball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether you play a 3-4 or 4-3, those 6 or 7 guys on both sides of the ball dictate everything. Because if you know what, if you have I don't care if you have the best defensive cornerbacks in the world. If you give an NFL quarterback more than 4 seconds to throw the ball, he's going to beat you.
Yeah.
Okay. The Eagles don't give the guy more than 3 seconds. The team they're playing against doesn't give the guy more than 4 seconds. So guess what? As a D-back, an old safety, I know that I don't have to cover the guy for 40 yards. I got to cover him for 25.
Yeah.
And if it gets to 40, I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm dead because I can't run with these guys. I'm not allowed to hit them anymore. I'm not allowed to do anything. So if they get past that second, third level, boom. But you talk about, you know, and again, to me, to Will's point, everything in any professional sport comes down to coaching and how they can communicate to today's athlete. If they're willing to listen and take and make sacrifices, right, then you're going to have a successful team, because every single guy in the NFL is an unbelievable football player.
Yeah.
Everyone.
They're all the best of the best.
Everyone. Some are better than others, then you have your freaks, but every single guy that's on the practice squad is the best guy any of us saw ever in high school or college.
So what do you think about Aaron Glenn's at the pickup at head coach for the Jets? What do you think about Aaron Glenn?
You know what?
He's a rookie coach, but I mean, I like Aaron Glenn.
I love this
But
interview.
I think there's a lot of ifs just because he's a rookie coach. He seems to be hiring some good people around him, which is the number one job to do. But
And he's an old Parcells guy.
Yes, and that's a big part of his resume.
That matters.
But his most recent accomplishments are that he came from a team that had a bad culture. The Detroit Lions were horrible.
Right, and they turned it
And
around.
Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson all changed that. And you could just see when Johnson addressed his new job at Chicago, and Aaron Glenn when he came in here and had his press conference, and Dan Campbell, they're beloved guys. You got to get the locker room to buy into your act. You can't BS those guys. They're professionals. You know, they're going to work hard because that's how they got there. But they got to buy into your system, and they got to buy into you. You just can't stand up in front of guys and give that rah-rah stuff. You know, I heard this about the old Detroit Pistons with Chuck Daly. You know, Chuck Daly says, I coach guys that come to work driving bigger cars than me, you know, wearing overcoats and drinking coffee. You know, they're punching a clock, so I have to make them buy into my whole system. You know, when you think about it, he coached the Olympic team.
Right.
There's 12 egos right there you had to deal with. So if we step back to the current situation with the Jets, Aaron Glenn is going to get them going. You know, we got to give this guy a chance, and he comes from a culture of rebuild, which is what the Lions did and will be for a while. You know, again, can you sign guys? Can you keep guys healthy? All those, but that's betting on the come again.
Right,
You know, is that going to happen?
Yeah.
Is everybody going to stay healthy? Are they going to buy into my act? Do we have the real big? You know, we have a quarterback. Very important.
I'm not a Jets fan. When I heard his press conference, I got excited for the Jets.
Yeah.
You know, hearing him talk and be like, "Hey,
He said all the
listen,
right things.
we're the New York Jets.
Yeah.
You know, this is,
Yeah.
you know."
Yeah.
Do you think Rodgers is staying or leaving?
I think he's staying.
I think
That's
he's staying.
just in my heart of hearts.
Yeah,
But
I
I
agree.
don't have any intel on that. But yeah, I think he's
He
staying.
has to stay. Because who's better? What other
I have
options?
nothing else.
For 1 year, what other options do they have unless they go get somebody the kid that they let go? You
But
know,
I look at it
Donald.
you know, obviously, professional athletes have egos. You know, they know who they are. They know that they're the best of the best. I can't imagine that Aaron Rodgers would want to leave the game after this past season.
fair.
I feel like he's gonna at least want to give it one more shot. That's how I feel.
Willie said his numbers are pretty good.
Yeah.
And if you could get those numbers again, we're good. Let's
Yeah.
go.
With a good coach, with a well-coached defense, you don't have to score as many points. There's a lot of positives in there.
I also felt like every time there was a bad play, he looked like he's blaming everybody. His face, he just looked like he was blaming everybody else.
Look, he's a
bad
weird-
pass,
Yeah, he's
bad
an odd
this.
duck.
He's a weird cat, and they all knew that when they got him, that he's a weird guy.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's, as somebody who watches the Jets all the time, go to the games and listen to the people go absolutely batshit crazy, I think that he will get better, and I think Aaron Glenn, to his point, Aaron Glenn comes from, he was a really good player.
Yeah.
He was a tough guy, and he comes from an environment in Detroit where he's around tough guys.
Yeah.
So he'll set the tone early, and again, Ed hit it right on the head. Who's going to buy in? And the first guy that's got to buy in is Rodgers.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
Rodgers
Gotta start there.
Rodgers can turn that into a three-legged chair
Yeah.
in one day.
He doesn't always do that.
Yeah, he doesn't
Not
always
always
do
going to
that.
buy in.
All right, let's talk about the Giants.
Do we have to?
Obviously we were all hoping that Daniel Jones would have been something after 5 years, and you think he should have been? You think he was the guy?
I don't.
I mean, obviously there were a lot of holes on the team, but you know they fixed the front line because we talked about They got to have a front line. They need the front line to give them protection. He got the front line. So
They,
to
did, they
speak.
didn't perform great, that front line. Again, I think on paper it was a better front line.
But that was it.
Yeah, that was it. Listen, we had said before, the Giants, especially with the Eagles and Washington now,
what a tough
with a
division.
young quarterback, I think the Giants, we're looking 4 to 5 years now of
long rebuild.
chasing playoffs or a really competitive team. It's going to be tough.
I mean, between the Redskins and the Eagles, what's changing? I don't know anything that's
Well,
changing
the
next
name,
year.
first of all, is the Commanders. That's the first thing that's changed.
Oh, what did I say? Did I say the Redskins?
Did I say Redskins too?
You both did.
Listen.
Am I canceled now? Have
No.
I been
It's
canceled?
forever going to be the Washington Redskins and the Cleveland Indians. I mean, no offense to anybody. It's the way we grew up. It's who they are. It's the Commanders. But you've got, I don't know about the Cowboys, but you've got the Commanders and you've got the Eagles. There are no holes. I mean, and Jaden Daniels
I love that guy.
coming out of nowhere and taking them to the postseason was unbelievable. So to your point, I can't. It's going to be a few years before they can even compete in their own division.
I think the Commanders
would seem
are
that
coming
way.
up, but your team is as tough as could be. Like, what is the spread right now for the
1.5.
I don't know.
What is it?
1.5. Kansas City.
1.5. Kansas City's favored.
49 over under is 49.
All right, so I got to talk, since Ed, you're intimate with the Eagles. What the hell is it with this tush push? Why can't anybody else in
Do it that
football
way.
do what they do? I put it on slow motion to watch what is it that they do
That nobody else can.
that nobody
do
else
it
can
as well.
mimic.
That's a good question.
I'll
Well,
jumpstart Ed before
Go ahead.
They have a quarterback that squats 600 pounds.
Is that true?
Oh, yeah.
and in front of him are the 5 guys that might. Actually, they put the tight ends in there
Yeah.
too. So you have 6 or 7 guys that weigh 320. Well,
So it's
Jeremiah
just
Leonard
pushing.
is 380 pounds, and they pick one spot, one hole.
Yeah.
And they say we're going there.
And everybody knows it, and
Yeah.
they can't stop it.
So it's like driving a car through that.
Yeah, it
the
is,
quarterback,
yeah.
Hurst, squats 575.
Wow,
575
Right?
squat.
Am I right with that? Some
Yeah.
stupid number.
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Bob, I also heard Tiki Barber this week, and he brought up a great point. It must have been on Monday, the day after the game. They were talking about the play that where Josh Allen got stopped on the tush push. And Tiki said when he looked at it, he ran it back a few times, and then he watched the Eagles. He said and Mike probably be able to help out with this, that he saw in the pile up, he saw 5 helmets of the Buffalo Bills players. When he watched the Eagles run it, he didn't
No
see
helmets.
any helmets.
All pads.
Dude, down?
They got down.
Yeah, they dig
low,
in. They dig in.
Low,
Well, that's the old adage we coach when we coach football. My brother, I get it from my brother Pat. Low you win, high you die.
Yeah.
Low guy wins
You know,
all
Flav,
the time.
you bring it up, but you ask why the Eagles can do it. You know, you can't practice that.
No.
I'm there on Thursdays. They don't hit at all anymore. I think I told you that the last time I
Yeah.
was here. It's not like we play. You know, we're going to hit on Tuesdays and not hit. They don't hit at all.
They don't hit any
No, they
practices.
don't. No, they tackle. You know, they call it thud, where you touch the bottom of the
Right,
guy's
right.
hips.
Okay, you're
So
down.
So where do you get practice for the tush? You don't. You know, the Philly push, brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. You can't practice that because
What would you call it, the brotherly shove?
I never
they
heard
call
that
it down there. Yeah, the brotherly shove. Yeah.
Brotherly shove.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question for Ed. As long as we're talking about again, have we kind of segued into the Super Bowl? Are we still on the Giants?
Huh?
Are we still on the Giants?
Yeah,
No,
that just got-
no,
that
we
just
got. There's
turned
not much to
around.
talk about the Giants.
You know,
But we can.
we can.
Well, I'm jumping on
on
Flavio.
the
He's the
key
boss.
play in question, on the 4th down play when Josh Allen was stopped.
Oh, the Buffalo game,
The
yeah.
Buffalo game.
Yeah.
You know, you looked at it, and there was one official coming in, looked like he was going to mark the ball. From one side, he was on this side of the
Right.
line.
Right foot,
And
left
then
foot.
below that, it was the other official was coming in, he was on the back side of the line.
Yeah.
What I'd like to ask you, Ed, is does anyone have a responsibility?
Primary responsibility.
Like, who does marking?
So they both share it, and
Okay.
anytime you have a third and short or fourth and short, the likelihood of us running the tush push or quarterback sneak or anything short yardage, the officials on the line of scrimmage at the snap, once the ball snapped, they move to the line to gain. Not at 5 yards if it's 4th and 5. Well, and you probably won't get a push play on for the. But if you're 4th and 2, both line of scrimmage officials, both the officials that are on the line of scrimmage, will move to the line to gain. That's like moving to the goal line. You know, that's the target line. At that point. I call it the money line. You know, that's the money line. So both officials will move to the target line. Now, in this case, when you talk about the top of the screen and the bottom of the screen, the official that's primary would be the one that sees the ball. So if I'm Josh Allen, Fabio, and you could see the ball, and I'm pushing into the pile, then you would be the official, and it was at the top of the screen, that would be primary there. The guy at the bottom is looking through Josh Allen and can only tell, well, Josh's legs are up, so he's not down, but where's the location of the ball when we decide to declare it dead? And when they did that, and I saw them, like you did, Stan saw them cockeyed. They were a little bit off. That's not a good thing. Okay, that's right away. That's not. You should try to match up. You know. And but if you don't see, you can't match up. But you also don't crash in until you do match up, because people like Tiki Barber and everybody in here, including Stan, saw that they were off. What you should try to do is just stop for a second and then match up. I know if I'm the guy at the bottom, I don't have the most accurate spot, the guy at the top. But here's the thing. So everybody that's sitting here would say, okay, that's fine, Ed. Thanks for all that technical, complex jargon. What about replay? Well, I looked at replay, and replay couldn't tell. Even with the shot overhead, the drone shot overhead, you couldn't tell. So replay couldn't get them out of it. They had to go with the call on the field. And unfortunately, the guy at the bottom took the primary on that, and he was inaccurate.
So what happens?
Wait, hold on.
Obviously,
Can I just jump in? So you feel it was inaccurate?
Oh yeah, I thought right away. I thought live we were watching it that it was a first down for Buffalo right away.
I wanted to hear that.
You know, I do that all the time. You know, that's how you get good at that, at getting spots. You know, you don't have a penalty on every play of the game, but if the NFL averages 155 plays a game, you have 155 spots a game. Now, some are critical and some are not critical. A non-critical spot would be a quarterback sack, 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Does it matter whether you mark it 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage or 9? Not really. Not behind the line of scrimmage. Well, yeah. But in reality, if I'm on the line of scrimmage and I have the responsibility of a receiver, and now all of a sudden I look back and the quarterback is sacked, I'm not really that accurate because I'm not bearing down on that. So I get back and I give you a spot. Not critical, not going to be part of Tiki Barber's Monday morning show. That play we have to be accurate on, okay? So, yeah, replay should be able to help. I'd say replay can help 75 to 80% of the time, but they couldn't on this one.
So I had a question. Obviously, you've done this a long. How many years were you NFL?
22.
22 years, NFL referee. I know a lot's changed. When you know, and there's been, you know, the phantom spot or the phantom face mask, the missed spot, all of those things. At the end of the game, what happens with the officials?
So I was part of that last year. In between my two stints in Philadelphia, I was a supervisor in the NFL, and they call it a coordinator coach. And we evaluate games, and I would take Monday to do one game and Tuesday to do another game. I did 2 games a week, and it's about 6 or 7 hours to grade a game. You got to look at all the aspects. You know, I look at every position. You look at what they called and what they don't call, and then you come up with an evaluation, a final evaluation. And the final evaluation every week is compiled into a overall body of work for the season. And if you don't measure up, you either are in jeopardy of employment, you're not coming back, or you're not getting a playoff game, which will financially hit in the pocketbook, or you'll be on notice. Now, you might be invited back next year, but, you know, you're on probation, so to speak. So, you know, while you don't see or hear about fines or anything like that, that's not going to happen. They're not going to fund. But there are ramifications in your performance evaluation, and your final performance review. So you could be gone. And what seemed like a pretty lucrative financial or prestigious type job, you could be out of it very easily.
Yeah. So have you seen guys?
It happens every year. Yeah, and every couple of years. But they don't publicize it. You know,
No, you never hear it on our
I was a
side.
school teacher for 32 years. If I did something, that didn't warrant me to be around anymore, I wouldn't want it publicized. I'd have to get out and move on.
Yeah.
It's the same thing there, but it's much more people were watching me referee on Sundays than they were watching me.
I feel like
teach
it's
phys ed.
more intense now with the referees. Like,
Well, you know what it is? Social media. Well, let's address the 800-pound gorilla in the room. All the sports are involved with gambling.
Oh, yeah, it's all about
Yeah.
It's
Very
legalized.
true.
I don't say
Very
gambling. I
true.
shouldn't say gambling. They're all involved with legal gambling.
FanDuel, the whole
So
thing.
there's people that normally are not gambling or not having that angle on the game. They are now because the candidate's legal. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying with that comes a lot more scrutiny. And I accepted it, and that's the deal. But the conspiracy theory that they're getting paid off or anything like that. When I entered the league, and every year thereafter, I had to sign a release that they could do financial checks on me. So. I don't have any offshore banking accounts.
nothing in
there.
the Caymans?
No,
Does
not
he?
as
No,
if
is he flying to the Caymans every couple of weeks?
I don't know what time frame, but quick question, Ed. Where do you get your pool of next refs? How do you, how do you get the
there's
next
a whole,
guys?
where the officials come from, where you would think they would come from. Where does the next baseball players come from, unless you've got a lot of money to spend for AAA baseball? Well, what's our AAA? Our AAA
College.
is college football.
Big Ten,
So
okay.
yeah, so when you see the guys working those college, or guys and girls working those college playoff games, that's our next pool of officials.
So
that
you
are
guys
already-
recruit,
Yeah,
like a farm
and
system.
yesterday had the Senior Bowl on in New Orleans with players that are trying to get on the radar as far. Those officials are being looked at. There's no NFL officials there. They are on the
The next
radar to
level
be in the
guys.
league. They bring them from there. It's only a natural progression.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're going to work, this Super Bowl, or you're going to work the Jets opener next year, and you're a rookie official in the NFL, most likely you work the national championship game or any of those college playoff games. That's where they came from.
Yeah.
You'd have to reproduce that on a much lower level, but it's still the
High-
scrutiny
yeah.
is
So
there.
they
and-
get
lot of
called
stress.
up the way players get called up.
Yes, yeah.
That's
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
All right, so
Go ahead.
before we get into our predictions, I just want to thank again Shortway's Barn for housing us, for letting us do this. I want to thank Ed behind the controls.
Eddie.
I want to thank Nicole behind the camera. And again, listen, by the way, we've got a lot of raffles. We've got stuff we're raffling off. We got merchandise to sell. Nothing says love
have no beer.
like giving your loved one a Towncast mug. Is it just me? Is it just me? I mean,
I'm sporting the shirt today. I'm ready to go.
right, look it. We've got our Towncast shirts. You can have your own Towncast shirts. We've got some great balls that we're giving away. And again, nothing says love like a pair of balls. So if you want to, and we'll give these away. If you want to, you know what, Nicole? Take one. I dare not to throw it there. I'm going to
Nicole,
knock
you
stuff
heard
down.
what he
I know
said.
I'm gonna
Leave
knock
it
stuff
down.
I'm going to knock it down. And you didn't get one.
I'll
You
take
get
it.
one.
Thanks. I'm going to
All
work
right,
on that curveball.
so here we are.
Steve
We're a
Cohen
week.
signs me.
We're a week away from the Super Bowl, and it's the Philadelphia
Athlete.
Eagles, the Kansas City Chiefs. And the one last question about officiating. Obviously, everybody talks about how the Chiefs, every call seems to go their way. You've been watching it.
I never got a memo that said cheat. We didn't. I don't know where that office
Yeah.
is in.
Yeah. Where did
And I
that
know
come
it
from?
looks bad, and I understand that. I kind of look myself, that I know it's straight up, and if it is, it's human
It
error.
happens. It happens.
It is, and no one wants to hear that.
In this
but yeah.
particular game, that one that you said was a bad call.
Yeah.
There was actually, because I'm like, are they favoring the
Yeah.
Chiefs? In that particular game, there was things that favored the Bills too.
Yeah, there's some
There
mistakes
really
in
was.
there. Yeah,
More
yeah.
so than some other things
Yeah.
that led me up to being like looking at that.
Yeah.
So, but other than that one, and maybe that catch where I thought that ball might have hit the ground.
Yeah, we can spend another hour talking about what they were really looking at on that play, and I don't want to do that. Maybe we'll talk.
Let me
Yeah.
just ask you a question. Do you think it hit the ground, or that's not?
I was
the issue?
looking at a whole different aspect. To be
Okay,
honest,
that's-
with you,
okay.
honest with you. Yeah,
Cheerleaders?
Way too
You
technical.
were talking about the reception or interception.
The interception or reception.
Right,
Now,
right.
You know where I'm going. You
Yeah,
might
yeah,
know where
yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
with this. Yeah.
Yeah, there was some, and once it's called, it's done.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Well, replay.
Yeah,
Stan asked me before.
But you
Replay's
can't,
there.
well, yeah,
But it's favoring the call on the field because unless it's completely obvious.
yeah. All right, so here we are. We're at prediction time. So last year we had our predictions, And, you know, I'm going to brag a little bit about myself. Kansas City by 3. They won it by 3. I almost had the score. They was it 25-22, I think it was. I was 24-21. So here we are, Kansas City, Philadelphia Eagles. Kansas City's favored by 1.5. Home field advantage.
Oh, this is your second favorite game.
I'm going to start with you. So what do you think? What do you think final score?
So the final score, I think that the Chiefs are going to win 31-28.
All right, I'm going to write it down. So Chiefs 31-28.
And I think I might be rooting for the Eagles. I really mean it. And I'm not an Eagle fan at all. I do love Saquon Barkley. I'm tired of the Chiefs winning, and that's a weird thing to say from a Giant fan. You mad at me? Oh, you're
Nope.
You mad at me?
I'm not mad at anybody.
No, as long as Kansas City wins. No offense.
I'm last, right?
Of course you're last.
Okay.
All right, so you're 31-28 Chiefs.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, that's not far from where I'm at.
I think it's going to be a very good game, but if you give Andy Reid and Spagnuolo 2 weeks, I think that's a tough nut to beat, and I think that Spagnuolo is going to, like he did last week, all of a sudden he brings a corner blitz that he hasn't shown in all season, and you know the guy still should have caught the ball, but I think giving Reid and Spags 2 weeks is a little bit too much. I like the Eagles up front, but I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I think they're going to beat them a little bit more than most people. I think it's going to be 34-21.
Whoa, big one. All right. All right, Stan.
I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think they're going to win 27-24. However, I agree with Mike, and he kind of stole my thunder a little bit because I was going to say the Spagnuolo factor. When he brought that corner blitz, they did not run that in the entire game. And I told my son, we were watching it together, who's sitting here, and I said, this fourth down play, look for Spag to bring a blitz here, because he always does on fourth down, and that was the play of the game. And sure enough, they gave him a look that he hadn't seen. So Spagnuolo and Andy Reid, they scare me a little bit, but I'm going to go with the Eagles.
Eagles. All right, Eagles 27-24.
I want Saquon to have a huge game just to show Joe Shane.
Just to give Mara a heart attack.
If Tommy DeMayo's watching this, I know he told me not to talk about
Wait, you talking about Tommy DeMayo from Hawthorne High School or Tommy DeVito?
Tommy DeMayo.
Oh,
He told me not to talk about the Giants, but I'm sorry. I hope Saquon has a huge game, and I hope they get rid of Shane after the game.
All right, Ed.
So first of all, Andy Reid was one of my favorite coaches to work for. He's a very fair guy.
He was an Eagles coach for a while, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, great coach.
He's good wherever he is. He's a really good guy. You know, his staffs have always been good, whether it's Philadelphia or Kansas City. No problem. That being said, I still feel the Eagles are on a roll right now, on both sides of the ball. If they are 100% healthy, I think it's going to be a really good game, really close game. I'm just going to go like 31-30, the Eagles. It's going to be that close. I spoke to a coach the other day, and he said, you know what? Neither one of us are blowing each other out.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, we might see back in the day, we had a lot of conservative Super Bowls that were kind of tough to watch after a whole season of NFL football. We might get that again, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but unless there's injuries that happen.
So let me ask you this. Who do you think's the better coach, Reid or Sirianni?
Reid.
Is that really a question?
Because
the point that Andy Reid took the Eagles to NFC championships. He's won
Super Bowl
and Super Bowls. I think Sirianni gets a bad rap, but I think Reid's better.
I know who you think.
Well, one guy's building a resume, and one guy has a pretty impressive resume.
Has the resume,
and again, it's making these guys believe in what you're doing. And whoever does that, whether it's Andy or it's Nick, they got to buy into your whole thing, and the coaches got to do that too. So, hey, fly Eagles, fly.
I think it's going to be. And my feeling, watching the playoffs, I don't know about you guys, but watching the play, even though the Jets or Giants weren't in it, was the most exciting playoff
Great
run.
football.
Every game was unbelievable. I mean, it was
After the first week, after the first weekend, then
Yeah.
it got real good.
unbelievable. Yeah, the wild card or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just one game after another. It was intense. They brought everything to the field. I feel like the Super Bowl is going to be the same way. It's I agree with you. It's going to be a 1-point game. I have it 28-27 Chiefs. I gave them the 1 point because they're at home, and also they're going to get all the calls their way because that's just the way it happens. And Taylor Swift is going to be there, so that alone should mean a lot to them. But I think it's going to be an unbelievable game. All I know is I hope that when you look at the grid, when you play the boxes, I hope 95, 62, 100, 43, and 37 come in. One of those, as long as one of those numbers come in,
You're happy.
I'm happy. So it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great Super Bowl. I, unfortunately, am going to be in Germany. So kickoff is at 12:30 a.m. So I will wake up to the final score. But the Super Bowl will be announced live on Super Bowl Sunday at 6 p.m., 12 p.m. my time, 12 a.m.
So you're staying up for
midnight.
that?
I'm staying up to announce the winner of the Super Bowl live
From Germany.
from Germany.
I'm German.
Which apparently all the NFL games are going to end up being played in
You
Germany
are
anyway. at some
dedicated, my
point.
friend. You are
Right,
dedicated.
right.
So I want to thank Shortways. Want to thank all of our sponsors. Listen, the WNFC, the Women's National Football Conference, kicks off a home game in Hinchliffe Stadium in Patterson on April 5th. We're giving those away. We'll eventually sign off, and then we'll do our raffles.
What's the name of the team again?
It's the Jersey
Wave.
Shore Wave.
Wave.
It's like short waves,
Jersey Shortways.
right?
It's Jersey Shoreways.
they
So the
playing all their
Jersey
games
Shore
in,
Wave, they're going to be
in
playing
Patterson?
Their home
Monet,
games?
Clancy, if
That's
you're
good.
watching. Hats off to you. Congratulations for making the team. We wish you all the best this season. We've got the Jackals. We're giving away 2 tickets to opening day of the Jackals. New Jersey Jackals play at Hinchliffe Stadium. Opening day is May 9th. We're giving those 2 tickets away, the raffle. So for you guys sitting here, if you don't have your raffle tickets, last call to get your raffles. I want to thank Willie. I want to thank Mike, Stan, Ed. I want to thank all you guys for coming and spending some time here. I know Don LaGreca was thinking about coming. Don, if you're watching, next time we'll get you on. We're going to promote the Anna Marie Sasso softball tournament coming up this fall, this August. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank everybody for sitting here. Thank you, everybody that came. Let's hear it for you guys. All right, so make sure you follow the Towncast. All right.